Hello, everyone. While this is getting set up, I hope it will get soon. I'm Nova Ahmed from Bangladesh. Um, Before I got started, started talking, I heard all the amazing talks, and I got really, really scared to talk about our small little country because, in terms of HCI or in terms of developing in HCI or the research community, like we heard in Japan or all the other countries where things are growing up, there are workshops and symposiums. Actually, we just got started. So that's the story I wanted to share, how we got started and how it is, the challenges and things like that. I'm kind of, I want to tell you, like, it's not as nice as it sounds in other countries. We have few challenges. One is the perception of HCI is new. People think it's not part of computer science. That's something we struggle with. And robotics and other emerging technology is not very much used in our country. So we have to look at other sides of it. And probably that's one challenge. Funding is another challenge. And anything we have to do, it has to be low cost and people-centered. So something like that. So let me go into it. So little bit about myself. It's the slide I made for to send out to you. I did my PhD in USA, in Georgia Tech, and it was distributed computing, not even close to HCI. And when I finished my PhD, I thought, okay, I will come to Bangladesh and solve all the problems because I learned systems and I can develop things. So that's where I was. But when I came to Bangladesh, at that time around, there were lots of problems going on. There was the big problem of sexual harassment. It was a major problem at that time. So if you look at our princess, it's not like a Disney princess. It's a Bengali princess. Her name is Kajol Rekha. It's like the eyeliner girl. And the story is she suffered for 12 years, but she did not tell anyone about her sufferings. She waited for some magic to happen, which does because it's a fairy tale, and then she got out of her sufferings. So when I came to Bangladesh, something similar was there. When we talk about sexual harassment, initially in novels and stories and contemporary theaters, boys sitting around in tea stalls, talking, laughing, joking, and sometimes when a girl is passing by joking about her, the term was even simpler term. It was called Eve teasing. So they're just teasing a girl. It was socially accepted. But soon after that time, it got a little bit ugly. There were several suicide cases, and a girl tried to protest in front of others. She was humiliated publicly. She committed suicide. And then there was, one after another. And it's not even a local problem. It's actually a global problem. Don't think it's a developing country problem. It's a problem that crosses the geographic and economic boundary. It happens everywhere. Just the weapons change or the way of harassment changes. Again, the silence is there. We had to work with the silence, actually. So this is an incident that took place in India and got lots of public attention. And we lost many of our, especially young adults, or young women who were not even adults. We lost many of them in recent years. And the problem became, so when I thought about this sexual harassment problem, because I'm not an HCI researcher, I took help from many others who were working on the similar field. I came to Bangladesh and I thought, oh, how difficult it is. I make a mobile phone app or I design a hardware where I can call for help, and it's as simple as it is. I can just make something and give it away and the problem can be solved. That's my initial perception. But the problem was somewhere else. when I tried to talk to people about the problem, that's where the problem started. Actually, nobody wanted to talk about it. There was this big silence problem. We did an online survey, and within days, there were many responses. Many of them filled up the form. It was spread over and things like that. But whenever we had questions that had the word sexual harassment, they were unanswered questions. That question remains empty. Nobody answers it. So when we look at it deeply, apparently it looks like it's a good survey, but when we analyze the data, either it looks like it's not a serious problem, or it looks like I don't want to talk about it. So we thought of focus group discussion. So at the same time, I was talking to other groups in USA and other researchers who have worked on similar social activism, and we thought about focus group discussions, and that turned out to be pretty well. But the problem became when we talked to a particular group that became extremely emotional. So this was a group of students who just, I think they just graduated from the 10th grade government exam in Bangladesh's SSC, secondary school exam. And within this group, it was a friend circle. All these girls came from our women's school, female-only school, and the problem was one of their classmates was actually sexually harassed. It was a big incident at that time in Bangladesh. That teacher was supported by the school authority. So there were protests by the schoolgirls, by their parents, and it took a while to get the teacher punished because the teacher was one of the famous big shot teacher. He was a math teacher and everybody loved him, but he was a very good math teacher and things like that. And the other problem was the school didn't want to prosecute any charges against him because that's a bad reputation for the school itself. So that's what happens actually in our side. When we have a problem, we don't want to talk about it. One is not that we don't want the problem to be solved, but it raises lots of other chaos around it. So when we tried to do the focus group, these girls suddenly became so emotional, and I couldn't even continue the conversation because they burst out of their emotion. And at that point, we thought, okay, probably this is not the best way either. We have to know about the problem, existence of the problem, but we have to look for other ways as well. And then we put out some posters around so that we want to talk one-to-one, so that we can know about ongoing problems. And for 2 weeks, there wasn't a single person turning out. And some of the posters were torn. Some of the posters had writing on it like, girls are the problem, let them wear good clothes and the problem will be solved. Some the way, yeah, wear Islamic clothes, something like that. And I started getting personal emails. I had my email address there. So I started to have those bad emails there. And again, I felt silence there. And then suddenly, in front of my office door, I found out a girl standing. So when I came to the office, the office corridor was empty, but she wanted to talk to me, but she was whispering. There was no one around, but still she was whispering. She told me, can I write my story? So she wanted to share her story, but she did not want me to know her in person. So from then, many people will start sharing their stories under the door, and we started to get many of their personal incidents. And at that time, actually, we started to have very unexpected contacts. Like we were looking at student community in the first place, and at that point, we started to have, someone who distantly knows me, a girl who works as a maid in my neighbor's house, somebody who just came to know that there is a work on sexual harassment, and they will just come randomly knock my door, tell me, I want to, please write my story, please write my story. And they would follow up, like, what's going on? What are you doing about that? And slowly, when we started the project, we only had female volunteers because people thought, okay, it's a girl-only problem and girls will solve it, something like that. But eventually, that also changed. Oh, okay. So actually, that we started it in 2011 in Bangladesh, and before that, we had sporadic HCI researchers working in US, but that was actually the first combined effort where 3-4 universities combined together. We started working on an HCI project. We actually learned many things in bad ways, trying it out, doing things and not letting things go wrong. And still, it's a very small community. We just recently, we are one of those new members who got Sikkai, official Sikkai chapter. We still did not have any activity. We are that new. And, but actually, the work has changed the perspective of many others as well. First, people would not mention, oh, it's your project. What's going on with that project? And when I answer that, which project you are talking about? That one, they wouldn't want to mention the word sexual harassment. But it has changed over time. I don't think it's my contribution or our group's contribution. I think it's the media, social media is more active. There's more awareness regarding the problems. And over the time, the project that seemed like it's a small project, it's now still ongoing. It's a voluntary project, and we have volunteers all over the country, across the country. Many others have supported it, and it has actually set up the stage, and we now have several groups working on smaller problems and bigger problems. But I wanted to share this story because even though sexual harassment is a problem, but in Bangladesh, being in a Muslim-dominated country, we have social cultural issues to handle this problem. We cannot just take one medicine and put it there, because we have to understand how it works and how things will turn out in our context. And I think this is a very good platform where we will have similar problems and dissimilar problems. And we can all, set up the stage for collaboration, discussion, cross-cultural studies, and things like that. So, yes, I think at the end, the ongoing silence regarding the project we had, it kind of broke. We started talking about it, it's still there. I don't see as many research as I expected, which deals with problems, it's called feminist HCI, and whenever you use the word feminist, there is a particular perception regarding it. So yes, I would like to see more work that focus on ongoing social problems as well. Thank you very much. Any questions?
1 minute, any questions, please?
Hi, I'm Hanif from the Institute of Visual Informatics, Malaysia. So I'm actually quite surprised that you got threatened just by putting up posters about your research. So and you said you got emails, so how do you handle that? How do you handle all those threats? And did your university do something about that? Thanks.
Initially, our university did not do much, because initially our university authority also had that thing, okay, she's doing something, let her do it. It's something her personal research, let her do something like that. They had that mentality initially, and so at that time, I had to pass that time, but something magical happened. Like I said, when the threats were coming, there was the silence going on. The women were not talking to me. But suddenly I had my email and phone number. So suddenly I started receiving phone calls from unknown people. A girl will call me and ask for help. Somebody will write a note. Somebody will come and visit me. And there's so much to do, even knowing that there is negativity, because we can just see it's not that the problem is not there, it's not that there's not enough space to talk about the problem. So that actually gave me strength. And actually until recently, the department did not get very much attention towards HCI research, but very recently there is industry interest as well. Grameenphone and Telenor, they're also moving towards, and in our HCI chapter, we have industry partners as well. So I think it's going towards it's a long journey, but we started. Thank you.